Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing cannabis yet again. Been a rather hot topic here in Thailand, these past few months. I think a lot of people, I've talked to a few people in the past few weeks, and I think they seem to think, wow, that was a tongue twister, that I've come upon this like in the past few months. And that's really not the case. I was talking to our producer here while we were kind of getting ready to make this video, and I think we've been working on this. I think Thailand has been kind of dealing with this whole issue, sort of processing it, if you will, going back 4 or 5 years now. Because I remember doing the video about Section 44 power being used on strains of this when they started off doing research. I remember doing that, and that's years ago. That's going back years now. So this is something we've really been following kind of from the beginning in terms of the sort of evolution of this. And that kind of leads us into this story that got me thinking about making this video today. This story is from the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, Activists Press for Weed Bill Passage. A lot of information in this article. I strongly urge those who are watching this video, go read that article in detail. But primarily, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to quote a little more than I usually do because I'm going to do the analysis as we go on this, because this is a pretty densely packed article. Again, I urge folks who are watching this, go read it for yourself. There's more in here than even we're going to go over. But I kind of want to get onto some fine points and some apparent misconceptions that have come down the last couple of weeks. So, again, quoting directly from the article, Activists Press for Weed Bill Passage, Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Quoting directly, activists will gather outside Parliament on Wednesday to press for the passage of the Cannabis Control Bill, which is currently having its second reading. Note that, second reading. So it's already gone through one reading, and it's on to its second reading, presumably starting tomorrow, which is Wednesday here in Bangkok. Quoting directly, further, their leader, Prasitchai Nunwal, said they want Parliament to enact the law to prevent the liberalization of cannabis use and were opposed to some MPs threatening to vote against it. Quoting further, quote, if any MPs attempt to block the passage of the bill, people will give them a painful lesson by not voting for them in the coming election, he said. Quoting further, Santea Seyo, a traditional medical practitioner in Surat Thani's Kopanyang district, said he has used cannabis to treat numerous patients. However, he said he disagreed with the liberalization of cannabis use and that it was necessary to enact the bill to control it. Quoting further, the bill was already vetted by a House committee comprising all stakeholders, Mr. Santea said, adding that some had spread false information about minors smoking cannabis. Let's go back and kind of break this out, kind of bit by bit. First off, as we've discussed in other videos on this channel, the economic benefits to the country, just set aside everything else, the economic benefits to the country have been substantial. So when I see somebody saying, look, and I'm not trying to get political here, I'm really, really not. This really is kind of, and this is a little bit delicate for me because we've been talking about this a long time. I kind of feel I should continue to do so. And it still falls in the bailiwick of what could be law. We already have had essentially the enabling, the enabling act, if you will, and I don't mean act, capital A-C-T. I mean act as in A-C-T, like just the action that set all this off has kind of already occurred, which is the delisting of cannabis from the narcotics list, which should have happened. But now we're sitting here and we're kind of in this regulatory limbo because no law has been passed. And I think, this person that's quoted in here, or this Prasitchai Nunwal, who's quoted as saying, look, we're going to come down here and see that people pass this. And they're noting that this person at least is saying, hey, this is going to be a real problem if you don't do that. And I suspect the problem's arising from the fact that there's a lot of economic considerations that are sort of just barely under the surface here that I don't think a lot of people are taking into consideration. And then again, Santea Seyo, a traditional medical practitioner in Surat Thani's Kopanyang district, said he'd used cannabis to treat numerous patients. However, he said he disagreed with the liberalization of cannabis use and that it was necessary to enact the bill to control it. So, as we've said, as we've discussed on this channel before, again, the path forward here is not recriminalization. If medicinal marijuana, medicinal cannabis is what the sort of goal was here, and that's my understanding what it fundamentally was at the beginning, then dealing with the regulatory structure is what we need to deal with here. We don't need to recriminalize. We need to regulate it, as this person is pointing out. And, I don't know things that have been said, things that have purported to be the case, what the reality is behind them. But I would find it sad to learn that, people are out lying about something to try and push their own position. It wouldn't be the first time it's ever happened in history, but it'd be sad to see. Long story short, it's going to be interesting to watch the rest of this. I think getting a bill on this passed and getting some kind of actual regulatory structure in place is far better than the current situation we're in, as well as what could be the case if we don't get something passed, especially if we have to wait around for elections and things like that. Again, not being political, just thinking about this purely from a legal standpoint, it's a better idea to have some laws in place than not.